Crack open a cold box of wine or pour something cold on ice because it's the Binge-Watchers podcast.
Okay, sometimes there are moments where real life is like a movie, and the movie becomes real life. We'll give you a little backstory here. So a few weeks ago, we podcasted about this movie called Eurovision, which is about like a kid in Iceland that wants to grow up and win the Eurovision Song Contest. And then guess what? A kid in Iceland grew up and won the Eurovision Song Contest. So that's pretty cool. And then his dad was even giving him grief, just like the dad in the movie. The dad in real life goes, "Oh, he's not much of a farmer. Maybe he'll be a good sound farmer." I was like, oh my God, like, those are real Lars. It really happened. It just makes our podcast even better. Like, it's like fantasy comes true. It's a pretty good, feel-good feeling. His name is actually Dothy, but it's spelled D-A-D-I, but it's pronounced Dothy. I had to look up, how do you pronounce Icelandic names? Hopefully it's correct, because, you know, maybe Google got it wrong. I don't know. But that's what it sounded like. Then, I mean, if you've listened to our podcast before, we've talked about Charlie Sheen and his brother Emilio Estevez. I mean, their real name is Estevez. They're Spanish and Irish. And the dad's real name is Roman. And, like, apparently they have a brother named Roman, too, who's, like, right in the middle. Like, Emilio's the oldest, and then Roman, and then Charlie's real name, here's some trivia, is Carlos. I didn't even know that until I was trying to figure out. There's a middle Estevez brother. Like, this is mind blowing to me. Like, because where has he been? And then, like, you see like the pictures at like the Hollywood premieres, and he's just like, if they expand the width of the photograph, he's there, but you have to see him. You know what I mean? They have to move the photograph, and they have a little sister who's like never around. I'm like, okay, but so the middle brother
what does the brother
like,
do for a living?
Oh, so he runs the family production company. So every time there's an Estevez movie that Emilio's directing, he's the producer. I didn't know that either. So
that makes sense. Okay, so
and
he's a business person. Okay.
But then, like, a step further, I've seen two of the movies that he's in. Like, the person that wrote The Outsiders did like a couple other novels, and they made those into movies. Like Cadence is not that movie. It's That Was Then, This Is Now. It's about two brothers, and Craig Schaefer is one of the brothers. And Emilio is the other brother, I think.
Oh, really?
So that's like another teen drama book type movie, right? It's not as good as The Outsiders, but it's in that same like subgenre. And then Cadence is the movie where Martin Sheen is like basically losing his shit as a like drill sergeant type dude on some like kids in the military that are in trouble, and Charlie Sheen is like one of the kids that are in trouble in the military, right? So. Yeah. I mean, that's like
years ago.
Yeah, that's an intense movie to watch when you think like that's actually the dad like yelling at his son through the whole damn movie. But
I just remember him getting tattoos on his wrist, which was a big no-no in the military, and getting in bar fights a lot.
Anyway, Dave's bringing the dangerous trivia already. We're not even to dangerous facts yet, and he's just like,
Dave's so dangerous. I know.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on to some home video headlines. Last Train to New York is going to be the U.S. remake of Korean zombie drama Train to Busan. I watched that last year with Dave. Have you guys seen the zombie movie?
No,
it's like,
I've heard about it for years. I've heard about it.
Oh, it's so
good.
So how long have we been recording? Have we been recording for like 10 minutes? Maybe 10 minutes. 3 minutes?
Yeah.
Here's your first spoiler alert for the evening. In Train to Busan, which has been out for, what's the golden rule? I spoil a movie 1 year in, right, Dave?
Like a year
if
and
it's
a
been
half,
out, I give people a year to watch it.
Yeah.
All right, cover your ears, Jordan, if you haven't seen this movie. Okay.
Shut my ears, I guess.
A father is trying to keep his son alive on a train full of zombies. Whether he's successful or not, should I tell them, Dave?
I mean, if you... Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alerted you. He doesn't succeed. It's a great movie, though. So what's interesting is like calling it Last Train to New York kind of reminds me of like Escape from New York. Like they're pulling that New York apocalyptic title into the movie, you know?
Mm-hmm.
The next headline, the Always Sunny in Philadelphia show is doing an Always Sunny in Philadelphia podcast called, check this out, Nick, the Always Sunny podcast.
So original.
Oh, wait, I didn't even know about this. By the way, that's one of my favorite shows ever. I'm just saying that is my go-to. I just want to watch something, turn my brain off.
Do you have a favorite episode?
The Nightman episode.
Oh, The Nightman Cometh, which is like a musical built into the episode.
Remember the musical, and then
I think that's like everybody's favorite. That's like that's the one that got me hooked.
Oh, it's so good. I love that show. It's my favorite like comedy show of all time, probably.
Well, the podcast is pretty great too. Although it's
I didn't.
They don't have a format yet, and they keep.
They don't. And I hear they're. What are they?
Well, it's like a behind the scenes. They're talking about their show back from like season 1. So they have to go back like 15 years or something.
Wow.
Okay, another headline. Hey Jordan, do you like Jonah Hill?
I do, actually.
Yeah. What are like some of your favorite Jonah Hill movies?
It's not even like I mean, yes, obviously some of the standard ones. I think Superbad is a great one to go back. Yeah, love that. Yeah, I don't know. I just like him as a fashion icon, like today.
Oh yeah, he's that's like his other world, right? Yeah, that's like his second world.
Oh my god, his style's great. He's I'm a Jonah Hill fan.
Yeah, so Jordan is going to turn into like
icon, but I had no idea.
Jordan's going to turn into what else the celebrities are doing, like what they're doing when they're not in the movies we're watching.
I have no idea what is this.
Yeah,
exactly.
But no, that's interesting. I'm just like, what, really?
So he's supposed to play Jerry Garcia from Grateful Dead.
I can see it.
Gosh, really?
Yeah. It might be a biopic coming out.
Scorsese is he going to put on weight again for that role?
I don't think he will. Why would he? He was like 300 bills. Why would he go back?
I don't
if you can get the weight off and keep it off, you're never going back.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But he's fluctuated a few times even since getting skinny.
That's true. Yeah.
I wouldn't.
Because there's bigger Jonah Hill, skinny Jonah Hill. I've seen some bigger Jonah Hill right after skinny Jonah Hill. So I don't know.
That's true. He's kind of
I think it depends on the movie
he had
making.
The beard really long for a little bit, and the hair super scraggly. Like I could totally see the role.
He could.
He has like a bleached out beard. He looks just like Jerry Garcia.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In fact, he did a movie where he kind of played a hippie type. So yeah, I could totally see it.
And then if you're a sci-fi fan, Bladerunner has a 10-episode live-action series coming out. Unknown if it takes place before the original movie, during the original movie, after the second movie, who the hell knows? Supposedly the pilot's written, so it's getting closer to being an actual show. That's something if you're a Blade Runner fan. But what's funny about pulling this fact is like there's like a Dave said it's clickbait, but I actually believe it's true because like a lot of the old directors are like really coming down on millennials. They're like, you guys aren't going to the movies enough. You're not seeing our movies. We're like the best filmmakers, blah, blah. There's like a quote, Ridley Scott supposedly said that like the reason his movie, The Last Duel, didn't do well in theaters was because we didn't bother to go see it because we're playing on our phones. I was like,
I don't think that's
it was on Mark Maron's podcast. My understanding, I haven't heard it, but I guess news outlets are taking a quote and spinning it into a story they want to tell versus taking the whole thing in context. I don't know. I haven't heard it. So
I kind of believed it because everybody in his generation, like Scorsese and all those guys, they're all complaining about technology and like the way the industry's going. And I'm thinking like, I'm sure when you guys were the young guys, you were mad at the old guys and up to date on the technology. It's kind of like, it's kind of like adapt or die. I think like if you're going to create things, like what choice do you have? So if they're not willing to play the game, like I don't want to hear the complaints like that. I think it's unfair. It's like a generational battle, you know. It's like,
I think The Last Duel is not exactly a movie that would appeal. Like I'm just saying,
it's
like,
not a mass movie.
It's not a mass market movie. I mean, I was a millennial who saw it in the theater. Yeah.
No, it's good, but it's not going to draw in big crowds. It's a drama. Like it's a I don't even want to say what type of drama it is, but
it's a Netflix.
It's not
movie
like a fun time.
Streaming.
Also, think about the times that are at hand, right? In society, like people want to escape in movies. They want fun movies right now. It's not don't make a movie to make them feel bad. Not right now anyway. Okay, we're finally at tonight's movies, folks. So if you turned in just for tonight's movie, we're there. Taron Egerton and Hugh Jackman co-star in this inspiring story of Eddie the Eagle. He's a British ski jumper whose Olympic performance wins the hearts of fans around the world. Eddie's an underdog who doesn't get counted out. Well, he is being counted out. These are my own words, and I can't read them back on this little... I can't read my own handwriting on this little index card. And he won't give up during the 1988 Olympic Winter Games. I almost made it perfect. So he won't give up during the 88 Olympic Games. I won't give up on reading my index card either. In Calgary, Canada. And we're going to go to Dave for his dangerous facts about this movie. Dave, maybe you'll do better than I just did trying to describe the movie.
You nailed it out of the park, John. You did it.
So the producer Matthew Vaughn had actually read a script for this 15 years before actually making it, but nothing came of it at that time. And one day he'd actually showed his kids the movie Cool Runnings, and they asked him, like, why don't they make movies like that anymore? So soon after that, he actually bought up the rights to the story to make it himself. So everybody wanted to have an authentic 80s sound for the movie that was not just the same songs heard over and over in other movies. So producer Matthew Vaughn hired some of the biggest British pop musicians of the 80s from groups such as Spandau Ballet, Soft Cell, Frankie Goes to Hollywood, and Erasure. So, I mean, that's why it feels like an actual 80s soundtrack from that time. So the long ski jumping is actually such a dangerous sport that they could not actually find stuntmen that could effectively do that. So they actually had to hire all professional ski jumpers for the movie. With the exception of one scene and some close-ups on the actor's face, all of the ski jumps in the movie are actually the real deal.
Wow.
In order to get shots of ski jumping from more than 3 angles, like you see at the Olympics, special camera rigs were made just for this movie to follow the skier down a slope, or it had GoPro cameras strapped to their helmets, just all kinds of ways to get new ways to show ski jumping. Unfortunately, as inspiring as this movie is, Eddie would never qualified for the Olympics again after because the International Olympic Committee almost immediately increased the requirements for qualification. So he had his moment in the sun, and he was never going to qualify again after that, unfortunately.
Well, spoiler alert, every time he sets a record, they move the bar, so it's harder for him to get the record the next time. That's in the movie, folks. That's why it's a spoiler. Okay, we've arrived at our favorite bits. We're doing good, guys. We're doing so good. Okay.
We're doing good.
Nikki Lates, you can go first. We'll give you time to be here in a hurry. Okay. So, your favorite bits from Eddie the Eagle?
I would say the montages. Dave just brought up how everything is very 80s and the music is very 80s. I love the montages and the training scenes and everything like that. And also I love the fact that they brought up Cool Runnings because it did happen around the same time. I love that little like Easter egg where like, oh, there it is.
Right?
I thought that was really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about that until I saw it again.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this was around the same time. Yeah.
Same Olympics, right?
Yeah.
I guess moving on to me. Some of my favorite bits. I love the scene of Hugh Jackman just getting drunk or putting on his sweater, as he called it throughout the movie, and going down the 90-meter ski jump. That whole sequence is just a lot of fun. The other, I mean, I had a million in this movie, but to keep it short, the other one is the first time Eddie does his first jump at the Olympics and does that whole Eddie the Eagle flying thing. I mean, you fit you root for this guy a million times in this movie, so it's like, which one do you choose? But I mean, his first official jump and his cementing himself as Eddie the Eagle just kind of gets me. It's such a fun movie. He has a lot of energy.
Completely agree. I just fell in love with this movie so much. I can relate a lot to the whole thing. My dad is very blue collar. He's a contractor, did custom, framing, but he was at every single competitive cheer event at every track meet. And so just the support that he got from his mom was like just so lovely. And it was just so heartwarming when his dad just like caved in at the end and was just so proud. I loved it. It was great movie. Great movie.
So to back up what my team is saying, what the crew is saying tonight on Binge-Watchers, I wrote down that it sounds like a cop-out to say every scene is great, but literally almost every scene is great.
It's true, though. I had a hard time willing it down.
Yeah.
And if we call it a Hallmark movie or a paint-by-numbers film, that also sounds insulting, but if I was teaching screenwriting, I would show this film to my students and talk and break it down, right? So it's also good for that reason. I'll share my two favorite scenes, which are my favorite bits. Eddie has a press conference when he explains that he doesn't take this as a joke and he doesn't want to be considered a joke because he spent his whole life thinking and planning for this and it really means something to him and he wants the world to know that. I don't know one way or the other whether the press conference is just a good movie scene or if it really happened, but that scene in the movie, or that part of the movie is really great. Then the other part I like is Nick was talking about the montage cutting, how they're cutting everything together to music, but there's a moment there where everybody that's important to him is like on the edge of their seats to see if he's actually going to survive the big jump towards the end of the movie, like the big record-setting jump. So, like his last attempt to set a record or whatever. And so that gets me every time. The press conference and edge on the seat waiting to see if he's going to make it. Now we have, well, I've been waiting all night for this part. Dave has a stocking. We're going to draw movies out of the stocking. We're trusting Dave that he's not so dangerous that he's cheating. He's going to pull movie titles out for us to review for our stocking stuffers, which is next month what we're doing, and what we're doing, for the end of the year. So, Dave, do you have a stocking?
I do. I don't know.
Okay, and Jordan's doing a silent drum roll.
Silent.
You can even hear the paper pieces. So this is what we're going to watch for the next 4 weeks, y'all. All right, so here's number one.
I don't know what Dave's pulling out of his stocking.
Oh, well, another Hugh Jackman movie.
Whoa.
Still.
You got it. They can't see it, Dave.
I've never seen that movie. I've actually never seen that movie.
Dave, read it out loud.
Real Steel.
Okay, good. Okay, so Real Steel is the Rocky with robots. So it's very similar to the original Rocky movie, but with robots in the future, like 30 or 40 years from our today. It's kind of plausible. All right, Real Steel. Right. Not what I expected Dave to draw out, but we'll keep going.
But it was on the list.
What
do we got next? All right, what do we got next?
I hope Hugh Jackman's also wearing jeans in this one. So
he is. He wears a lot of jeans.
He's a hottie. Let me tell you.
Ooh, the wizard. Oh, dang.
Not of Oz, not of anything but Fred
Savage. This is Fred Savage and Christian Slater, late 80s or whatever. And Bo Bridges, right? Isn't it the other Bridges brother? Yeah.
Super Mario Brothers 3.
And Tobey Maguire in one.
These are not things I thought we were going to get out of the stocking, Dave.
Oh, my.
Yes. Oh, I'm actually very excited for this one because I love this movie.
Oh, my goodness. What is this?
And it is winter themed.
I, Tonya. Well, holy crap. We wanted to cover that for a long time.
It's a good one.
Movie, right?
It's really good.
I really liked it.
That's a good
All right,
movie.
so and the very last movie we're going to watch for stocking stuffers. All right, I'm trying to choose.
Dave, Dave, you should be on the news at night, just pulling cards out of things.
Wow, we're gonna start. So this is really weird. We're gonna start off the month with robots, and we're gonna end with robots.
Steel.
No way!
I love that movie. That movie's so bad.
Dave just drew robot jocks out of the stocking.
Jordan, do you know that movie? Have you seen the movie? It's pretty awesome.
Looking forward to it. Let's go.
Wow.
You're going to love it. It's so bad to see it.
Wow. Is there a common theme other than robots?
Stop motion
is video games.
It's good.
You know what's funny about Real Steel, The Wizard, and I, Tonya? Those are all underdog movies, which means it will also continue the feel-good theme, honestly.
Actually, yeah.
And Robot Jocks, I don't think anybody operating the robot in that movie is an underdog, but
no, I've seen it once and I don't remember there being but we'll find out.
Wow,
we even had a bunch of Christmas movies.
This is going to be the month where Jordan becomes an official binge watcher, or we break her with these movies. Because if she gets true Robot Jocks, she'll be a champion. Yeah.
You'll survive.
All
right. Yeah. I guess. Do we even do the ratings? Or are we doing?
Great.
No, I skipped over it. I got too excited. We moved on. We're done with that.
Just moved on.
Isn't it obvious? We all agreed that it was a great movie, right? So it should be obvious.
Yeah,
rating
I think it's a binge now for all of us, right?
Yeah, read between the lines, folks.
I just want to say one last thing on Eddie the Eagle, and I'll put it to bed. Can you think of another movie where we're watching the movie and our protagonist is the loser, like literally the loser? He was last place, and you love him. Like, can you name another movie where we're watching the loser and are rooting for, and we don't care?
Good question.
I mean, Rocky, the first one, technically, but
are they a loser the entire movie though?
No, but the final battle or match, not battle. No, I mean that's a good point too. But
we'll have to look up.
I guess Cool Runnings too, because they were last place, I think.
Well, I'm sure Google can run us a list of lovable loser movies. I'll come back to you on that. We'll come back to that next week. That requires research. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. There's the guy a loser the entire movie.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the point. We always watch. I mean, what was the quote in the movie? Like the Olympics are about the pursuit, not the. I'm paraphrasing, but like the pursuit, not the winning.
Actually, this is going to be a weird choice, and I'm really pulling this out just because I want to answer the question and not be a jerk. That movie Mandibles with the fly that they're trying to raise. Those guys are losers the whole movie. Does that count?
Sure, if you enjoy watching it and you root for him.
Well, you root for the fly mostly.
I haven't seen it, so I can't say.
Yeah.
I've never seen it. Yeah.
I guess
okay.
Moving on.
We can go to staff picks. Why not?
What are you watching, Nick?
I watched. I was in my hotel in Punta Cana, Dominican Republic, and Ghostbusters was on, and I couldn't resist.
He really wants people to know that he left the country.
He's
been dropping DR left and right.
I was in the DR, and I had the time of my life. And I watched Ghostbusters 1, and that movie still holds up, and it is so fun. But man, is it dated? The effects do not hold up. There's stuff from like, oh my gosh,
I did
could
too,
do
actually.
better than that. Like I'm looking at it like I could literally do better than this in 5 minutes. But
I watched the new 4K of it, and you're right.
Oh,
like,
I'm sure it looks
especially
bad, right?
Gozer or the dog running through the streets. Yeah. It sticks out like a sore thumb.
It looks horrible, right? Yeah.
But the movie itself is so good.
But the movie itself is great, and I would recommend it in a second. Check it out. I have not seen Afterlife yet. I want to check it out. I've heard mixed stuff, so we'll see. But the original still holds up. Yeah.
All right.
And I watched it in the DR, as John says.
Where was that again?
No. The Dominican Republic.
All right.
Didn't watch anything, honestly. Eddie the Eagle, I had to restart like 3 times just because of it being like a time commitment. It was definitely a binge now, but just with what's going on, I watched that like first probably 15 minutes 3 times before I made it through the whole movie yesterday with my mom. So, and she had already seen it. She loved it
this week.
Did she like it?
She's actually had seen it before watching it with me last night, and she loved it. Yeah, so mom approved. Yeah.
Awesome.
I actually watched a really old movie this week. I always try to like stretch myself and watch something I haven't seen or an old classic. And I've watched my very first Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers movie. I'm sure any of our audience just know. I don't know if people know who they are anymore, but they were old song and dance people back in the 30s. But I watched an old movie called Top Hat. And if you've ever seen Green Mile, you've at least seen one piece of this movie. It's where, I'm in heaven, cheek to cheek, dancing cheek to cheek. It's a really fun old musical. Like the tap dancing is great. The story is very standard. Boy, mistaken identity, boy meets girl, blah, blah, blah. But the story is besides the point. It's just got some really great dance numbers, especially for the time. So yeah, if you want to watch something old, black and white and dancey, check out Top Hat.
Sounds like something I would watch for sure. So it will be on the list. Yeah.
That's awesome, dude.
John?
I saw Ghostbusters Afterlife. Should I spoil that one?
Oh,
and you want to have a mini discussion because I saw it.
Went to the theater and saw it.
No, I'll leave it alone.
Okay.
I don't want to divide the audience.
I mean, Nick
said
it perfectly.
Right? Yeah.
It's mixed because there's some really good stuff. I could tell you stuff I really loved about this movie, and then I could tell you stuff that was just like, all right, it was stuff that went across my eyes. I mean, it's very mixed. It's good stuff and some very undeserving stuff.
All right, Nick, take us out and set us up for next week.
All right. Shoot, I wasn't ready for next week. Well,
we're watching Real Steel. We know that.
We're watching Real Steel next week with Hugh Jackman and a bunch of robots. It's the Rocky of robot movies, and I'm excited to see it, and I can't wait.